Hello, welcome back to Truth Speak. I apologize, it's been a while. I know that I keep doing this every so often where I'll make a video and I take some time away. I've been distracted quite heavily, but definitely going to force myself to try to keep up a little bit better. As promised, Christianity and Feminism begins today. Today's message won't be very long, but I think I tried to start with, one of the most powerful examples of what I mean, and the rest will be further examples to kind of help prove the conclusion that I've come to, things like that. But anyway, Christianity and feminism. And keeping in mind that there are multiple definitions for feminism and multiple definitions for Christianity, again, I'm here more referring to the Bible. And so there are a lot of views about Christianity being a very male-dominated, patriarchal situation. And again, I'm not here to debate those things, but more or less to look at what it means to be a Christian. Now, I'm not myself claiming to be one, but I am claiming to understand what it is saying, and looking at the differences that exist, the misunderstandings that come about because of it. So, Ephesians chapter 5 is a heavily quoted verse. I think 22 or 23 is the specific verse. But as I've said previously, when somebody gives you a verse, read the whole chapter. You know, make them read the whole chapter. Don't let them just drop a verse such as, "Wives, submit yourselves to your husbands," and immediately go on a tirade of, this is another example of what I mean. No, simply take a look at it, and if you read it further, it says, men love in the same manner. It says, in the same manner, in the same way, men love your wives, even as you love yourself. Even as you love yourself. So let's flesh that out to the examples of the male-dominated patriarchal situation that we're returning to. Does a man who loves himself keep himself cooped up in the house only doing household chores? Does a man who loves himself withhold money or gifts or things from himself? Does a man that loves himself lie to himself? Does he betray the trust of himself? And I'm asking like that on purpose, and to reinforce this point, there is another verse and definition when it comes to marriage, that a man shall leave his father and his mother and cleave unto one wife, and they two shall become one flesh. They become one distinct entity, not separate entities, one distinct entity. And that whole process of marriage is further reinforcing that symbolism, in essence. Symbolism, and there's actually, according to some studies, which I won't go into now, but there are some things which you can read for yourself where the physiology kind of seems to cooperate with that as well. You are becoming one entity, one flesh, and so, in other words, would you do anything to hurt yourself? And if you would not do that to yourself, why would you do it to this person? And so, you say male-dominated patriarchal situation, and that, again, there are a lot of distortions definitely in that direction. I see them for myself. I am not discrediting that. But what I am asking you, is that what the Bible is saying? Is it saying that women are inferior to men? Now, there are other verses and chapters that I will go into, but this is the starting point. Wives, submit yourselves to your husbands, and I'm paraphrasing here a little bit. Again, read the whole chapter for yourself. In the same manner, men ought to love their wives even as they love themselves. There's not a mistake of why he's saying that. There is no mistake about it. There is no if, and, or but about it. Now, we as human beings tend to follow tradition more than scripture. And it's hard for people to see that, you know. But another example of why I can say this with a free mind is we're going to go into the Old Testament, and there's some pretty dark verses in the Old Testament that a lot of people refer to reinforce this point. But I also look at the Old Testament and the New Testament for examples of women who stood above the fray. And, you know, you've got, I think she was one of the judges, Deborah, who helped lead the country for a while. You know, it's not impossible or wrong for women to take up certain roles. Each person was given different roles, you know. But you do need to understand where men's traditions and people's traditions lie versus what the Bible's actually saying. And I leave you with this point. You can make this argument a lot better maybe for Islam. And I'm not an expert on Islam. Still working my way through that. There will be an episode on that stuff later. But for right now, one of the precepts according to some understandings of Islam, so I'm not saying all of it, but definitely one precept is that, you know, if you die, you will go to heaven, and as a man you will receive 70 virgins. And just being very pragmatic about it, women do seem to get the short end of the stick there, versus in the Christian ending of sorts, we are all transformed. We will no longer have these bodies of flesh. And that's men and women. And I don't think it's a mistake that, you know, these bodies will be done away with, because they technically didn't matter in the first place. In other words, there's not really that many differences between them. We have different roles that we probably do better than others. However, we are fundamentally the same. Have a good day.